What's up, guys? My name is Alexander Soderkvist. This video is basically just to explain Aris Mining and, basically how I think the stock is going to do. Just before the video starts, I'm not a financial analyst. I could be wrong. This is just kind of my personal belief. This is my opinion. This really has no, I'm not suggesting anybody buy a stock, sell a stock, hold a stock, nothing like that. Okay, so let's talk about Aris Mining. Aris Mining is a junior mining company which has four mines. Technically, it's four operations, although two of them are producing, which is Segovia Operations, right, which is the whole name, and Marmato. These two mines are producing, right? This mine is quite early in its ramp up. Segovia is kind of deep into it now, but yeah, anyway. So, Segovia is a South American mine. It's in Colombia, to be kind of specific. Currently, the mill capacity is 3,000 tons per day, which, that's how much ore they're able to kind of, I guess, convert. But yeah, anyway, the overall picture is that originally Segovia and Marmato were going to increase and expand the mill, right? So expand how much tons per day these mines could do, right? So Segovia in 2025 was going to do 230,000 ounces, right? The year is not over yet, but so far every quarter they just released Q3 and they did pretty good, at least in my opinion. Um, so yeah, so they want to grow it to over 300,000 ounces, which again the gold price very high environment right now. It's about $4,000. Yeah, 4,200. So yeah, the gold price is very high. This has a total measured and indicated mineral resource of 3.4 million ounces at a grade of 16, which is very high. It has a mine life of 7 years, which, yeah, 7 years. Um, but yeah, anyway, so Segovia was going to increase the mill capacity, just kind of ramp up the mine, and so and it has silver byproduct, which they don't necessarily release the exact numbers of the silver that they're producing, but just with the gold, at least when I was buying in, which was about $13, now it's almost 20 Canadian. Like I had bought in because I believed that, you know, number one, it was very early for this mining company, right? I believe that in the future it could pay dividends, like it did a couple years ago, of 4 or 5%. I would not be surprised. I believed that the share price for this company at the time could go, all the way to 30, maybe even $35. But once again, I'm not suggesting anybody buy it. It's just my personal opinion. But yeah, okay, let's talk about their second producing and operational mine in their portfolio, right? They have two operating mines. That's Segovia and that's Marmato. So Marmato is, also ramping up. This one is ramping up about 10 times though the amount. The other one was about 50%. This one is about 10 times. So it's a far bigger um, expansion project. Marmato currently has a mill capacity of 1,000 tons per day, but after the expansion project, they will install a new 5,000 ton per day mill. Right now, ignoring that, they did 20,000 to 25,000 ounces in 2025, or at least that's what they're guiding for, right? Then you look at what they're targeting, which is over 200,000 ounces once the bulk mining zone is in operation and once obviously the new mill is finished, right? This is a far bigger project, almost double the size, with 6 million ounces at a grade of 3.0, which is still pretty high. It's a nice grade. It's primarily a gold mine, just like Segovia. It has silver byproduct, just like most of their mines do. They have byproduct of silver or copper, which again, it's another reason I'm very bullish on this company. Um, but yeah, this is operational. It's just not fully ramped up. So I bought in because I believe that the market was not valuing um, the the ramp up. I was not, I did not believe that the market was valuing the leadership, which is extremely good. We'll talk about them after. I did not believe that, as a junior miner, they have so many high quality mines, which once again, I did not believe that the market was valuing properly. Okay, so we're going to talk about Toro Peru first, before we get to Soto Norte, which I'm sorry, I did not pronounce that right. But yeah, Toro Peru is far closer to production. Again, this is a kind of a pipeline project. Um, they just recently released the PEA in October of 2025. Yeah, right here. Um, yeah, so that was a big deal. I liked everything I heard in that. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about, again, this is another big project with probably a very long mine life as well, like Marmato, right? Marmato has a mine life of, once this would be done, 6 million. So that could be, you know, 15 years of mine life, right? At 200,000 ounces. Toro Peru, again, it has 5.3 million ounces of gold at kind of a lower grade, 1.3, but it's still okay. At the end of the day, it's a big mine, has a lot of mine life, over 20 years. This is, you know, when this mine, this is gonna still be producing like, and I'm gonna be 41. Well, it'll be the last year it produces, but like, it goes to say just how long the mine life is for this mine. Segovia had a mine life of 7 years, but usually they always flip it, and according to different paper releases from the management, they believe that they can extend the mine life again. But yeah, anyway, so Toro Peru, again, just like Segovia, just like Marmato, this is another South American mine. It has a mine life of 21 years. It will do an average annual gold production of 235,000 ounces per year, right? Has an all-in sustaining cost of 12.89, right, per ounce, which again, when you look at the gold price, this gives them an almost $3,000 margin, right? Almost. That's pretty good in my opinion, right? Um, so yeah, so the initial construction cost will be 830 million, right? Which, I mean, Aris Mining produced so far this year almost 300 million in cash from operations, right? So that's extremely bullish, and the ramp up is not finished. The ramp up is really just beginning when you think about, you know, Marmato, and then, that's not even factoring in Toro Peru, although Toro Peru, this is a couple years away, but still, in my opinion, this is why I bought um, Aris Mining at the time, right? It's a big project, long mine life for Toro Peru, and it shows, in all these projects, Aris Mining built from the ground up, right? They did the majority of the work for them. So, yes, very, very bullish on it. Soto Norte, once again, is kind of, in my opinion at least, their most bullish mine, right? It's the biggest by far, 7 million ounces of gold at a grade of 5.6. And it has a proven and probable mineral reserve of 4.6 million ounces of gold, um, or yeah, at a grade of 7, right? Which is very, very bullish. That's a very high grade of gold, right? Um, and again, mine life of 22 years. It has an average annual gold production from years 2 to 10 of 263,000 uh, ounces of gold per year. It also has byproduct, right, of copper, pyrite, and it's primarily a gold project, obviously. But yeah, the all-in sustaining cost is $534 an ounce, which again, I mean, this gives them, you know, a margin of $3,700 if the gold price stays at 4,200, right? So the margins are very good for this project. Now, this project is kind of earlier than Toro Peru, um, and they recently bought out um, Mumdala, which I'll show an article probably on the screen. Um, but yeah, so they bought the remaining 49% ownership, so they own 100% of this mine. They own 100% of all of their mines, which is, again, in my opinion, it's very bullish. This this mining company is currently has a market cap of $4 billion, right? When you look at other mining companies like Alamos, Alamos has 3 mines operational, and I think it has a couple developmental projects, but they're not like this quality, right? And one thing that I do like, these are pretty interesting areas to have mines, right? In some countries, especially in Africa, like when you're looking, you know, at um, like there used to be a mining company that I had watched, which was Orezone, and I remember because of the location of the mine, which was in Burkina Faso, which was having a lot of political issues, um, the gold price was tanking, right? And maybe that's not 100% of the reason, but I do think that location of these mines is a big thing. Also, some countries, like Burkina Faso, I'm quite sure I'm gonna show it on the screen, um, probably a picture. Um, but a lot of these countries also want ownership of some of these mines, right? Like stakes. But here in South America, none of these mines have that, and I see a lot of value in that they own 100% of all of them. Um, I think that's incredibly bullish, and they all have long mine lives, excluding Segovia, right? On paper, this mine has a mine life currently on current reserves of 7 years, right? Okay, so let's read the presentation. It's the disclaimer, obviously. But yes, once again, 2 producing mines, 2 developmental projects. They own 100% of all 4 of them, which again, is very bullish to me. They have low net leverage. They have a market cap, at least at this point, uh, of 2.4 billion, which this is in USD. Um, but yeah, they have a total kind of resource of, you know, um, like eh, measured and indicated of 21.7 million ounces, right, at an average of 2.9 grade per ton. Um, but yeah, they're guiding for 230,000 ounces of gold in the year of 2025, all the way to 275, which in each quarter they kind of beat, right? Especially in Q3, which they just released. They're planning once Segovia and Marmato are fully ramped up to run, you know, just basically double this, right? At 500,000 ounces per year. And that's excluding the fact that Tor Peru and Soto Norte uh, should bump them up to basically doing 1 million ounces per year, right? Or very close, right? But they should bump them over 1 million, which is a whole lot of value. Um, but yeah, then we can, and they're doing it within budget, which again, that's another thing. Um, you know, Neil Wither has a long history of doing this. This is not new to him. This is not foreign. He's done this time and time again, right? So if you take the 500,000 ounces of gold once Segovia and Marmato are fully ramped up, and then you just plus it by 235, which is 735, um, and then you take 263 and just kind of plus this, and I mean that's 9, that's 8, that's yeah, it's about like yeah, it's like 998,000, right? My math should be around there, but we could just double simple. It's you take 235 plus 263. Oop, did not mean to do that. 235. Well, I did not mean to do this. It's like I forgot how to use the calculator. 235 plus 263 plus 500, right? Yeah, so 998. So see, my math was good. So yeah, see, my math is always amazing. Yeah, anyway. So they have $418 million of cash on hand, right? Now, this is in Canadian, and they just spent $80 million to, buy out the rest of Sote Norte, which, yeah, hugely bullish in my opinion. Um, but yeah, So, I'm sure this is down a little bit. They have a cash flow generation of 352 million, which I'm assuming both of these are in Canadian. Um, yeah, they're in Canadian currency. But yes, super, super bullish. Here they're talking about the management once again, experience, leadership, track record of value creation, which is, kind of what I said before, building a leading gold mining company in South America with the potential to become a 1 million ounce gold producer per year, right? Substantial cash balance and strong cash flow to fund growth, right? Yeah, so I think another huge part of this company is that I don't believe that they will need to greatly dilute shareholders, especially once Segovia and Marmato are fully ramped up and producing, right? Um, so yeah, so I think it's super, super bullish. Um, so I think they'll be able to afford to kind of pay for these projects, obviously because the gold price is super high and they have a ton of margin, right? Which you can see here in this chart. Just see how the gold price is going up and up. And see the last one was 3,494, right? This is not even near, like, the gold price right now is 4,229. So there's still $800 worth of, you know, the gold price to go up by. So yeah. Right, so here they're talking about Marmato, 20 plus year mine life, uh, you know, greater than 200,000 ounces per year. Um, you know, so this is, in my opinion, extremely bullish. Um, Peru, long life, low cost open pit gold operation in Guyana, which again, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, so 21-year mine life, the life of mine, gold production, byproducts, um, but they don't really speak about the silver, right? Because these mines do have, I believe it's Sorte Norte that does have copper, right? Yeah, copper. So they don't really speak about the exact numbers too indefinitely, but I still think that it's extremely bullish just on the gold alone, right? Um, so yeah, Sorte Norte, 22-year mine life, 3.5, no, 3,500 tons per day mill throughput, including 750 tons per day for local community miners, right? All-in sustaining cost of $534 per ounce through the life of the mine, with an average annual EBITDA of $410 million, right? So I think that this is very bullish. On revenue alone, if they reach, um, that kind of level of production, we can calculate or we can try to do a rough estimate of how much revenue they should be producing. Anyway, so it's very simple to try to kind of calculate the revenue of the mining company, right? In the short term and in the long run, right? So short term, that's definitely not how you write that. Short term and then long term, right? So let's do Segovia first. They are going to do over 300,000 ounces per year. 300. We'll just put 300,000. And then for Marmato, it's going to be 200,000. Right, so that's 500,000. And then 1 million, right? For Segovia, it's 300,000. Then for Marmato, it's 200,000. For Peru, it's 263, right? No, 245. Oh, actually, I'll write it. It's better. 245. Then for Sorte Norte, it is 263. Right? And this is totally excluding, um, the byproduct, right? So we'll just use the gold price of 4,000, which right now it's at 4,200. Um, but you know what? We'll be bearish, you know, even for these estimates. So let's just do that. Okay, then you just take this plus, no, it's not plus, times. So that's 1.2 billion, right? We'll just put 1.2 billion USD, and then 200,000, 800 million, whoops, 800 million USD. Then once again, it's the same thing. So this is that. So that gives them a revenue of 2 billion, right? In the short run, roughly, right? Which right now they have a market cap, Canadian wise, of 4 billion, right? $4 billion market cap. But yeah, then in the long run, we can calculate it once again by just doing 235. Is 940 million. Oops. Why am I so bad at typing? USD. And then 263. And this is assuming the gold price doesn't move, right? So 1 billion and, you know, we'll put 50 million. So like 1.05 billion, right? Yeah. So we'll just put that. Oops. USD, right? So then you take, you know, okay, so let's calculate the total long-term revenue, right? So 1.2 billion plus 800, so that's 2 billion. That's basically then 2.9, like 2.94, and it's about 4 billion, right? 4 billion approx, 4 billion, right? Should the gold price not move, but yes. So, you know, this would mean that at least on the Canadian basis, and this is in USD, you know, this is trading at like a 0.5 price to sales, right? So let's go look at the American listing. Should be trading like, oh, it's not going to show that far actually, because this is only showing, you know, up to 2 billion. So see, even on the software it says 2 billion. Yeah, which basically lines up with this. Anyway, so in the long run, what do I think is going to come of this, right? Well, I think they're going to ramp this up nicely. I don't think that, you know, we're really going to run into too many problems with this. You know, and I think that eventually, maybe once, you know, Marmato, Segovia are both fully ramped up, they're doing 500,000 ounces. I think that we have a good chance of, you know, a dividend maybe being paid to shareholders, which, again, Marmato, um, which I'm sure it says here somewhere. Yeah, second, it's gonna start the ramping up production in the second half of 2026, right? So, you know, let's say second half of like 2027, right? I think a dividend is possible, right? But I also think that maybe they'll wait to kind of, you know, because right now they're using all the cash flow to basically fund like the ramp ups for Marmato and Segovia. They're using it to explore further into Peru. They're using it to, you know, build these mines. They're overall using all of the cash flow, right? Which I think they should, right? Um, but just like all other mining companies, once this is finished, they're gonna have a lot of extra capital. They're gonna have a lot of cash flow, right? And that's even if they buy, you know, another couple mines that they explore. They'll still have cash on the side to do buybacks or um, dividends, which, you know, maybe they'll do both, right? Who knows? But I think that, this business will pay dividends. I think that this business is a good long hold, good long-term hold, right? Currently, I'm up $28,000 on this investment, right? Now, in order to be fully transparent, right? So once again, I'm 21 years old. Um, and here it says my portfolio is worth $157,000, right? Which is sort of true, right? My portfolio is really worth about 117,000, because I do utilize a small bit of margin, right? But I use margin to buy into investments at prices that I like, right? So let's say, Aris Mining, goes to $10, right? Like I might use that to buy, um, you know, a bigger position, right? If I don't have the cash, I'll use margin and then I pay it off, right? Um, so about $40,000 is margin, right? But my portfolio is worth about $117,000, right? Then I have far smaller positions that basically make no sense. But I will talk about these investments in another video. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Um, you know, if you want to follow kind of my journey of investing, um, and you just want to follow the channel, see how it progresses, um, you know, everybody's welcome, right? Like the whole point of this is to kind of build a community around investing, you know, meet other like-minded people when it comes to investing and stocks and I guess finance, right? But that doesn't mean that just because I personally believe in the stock that you should, right? Um, so do your own research. Check out this, you know, never watch a video and just decide you're gonna buy a stock because some guy on the internet, likes it. But yeah, anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and